Ball brothers of UCLA could end up at the same NBA team if all the cards fall into place. But first, the middle piece, LiAngelo, will have to lift his game to new heights to prove himself to an owner who only expects the best. Michael Jordan's Charlotte Hornets may have another shooting guard as long as LiAngelo Ball can highlight his assets as well as his two brothers did. Be sure to click the subscribe button and check out the links in the description for more latest hoops content. The Ball brand is growing, with two of the three brothers currently plying their trade in the NBA. Lonzo, the oldest of the three, burst onto the scene by going second overall in the 2017 draft to one of the biggest franchises, the LA Lakers. Despite a superb assist average in his rookie season, Lonzo spent most of his 2 years on the bench as injuries hampered his progress. And in 2019, he was involved in one of the biggest trades of the decade when the Lakers let go of their youth, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and a couple of first-round draft picks to the New Orleans Pelicans for their precious Anthony Davis. This was a good move for Ball, as his game has improved significantly, as has his stamina, providing substantially more minutes and games in the last 2 seasons with the Pelicans. Not long after, his younger brother, LaMelo, was drafted 3rd overall by the Charlotte Hornets, thus creating history as they were the first set of brothers to both be drafted in the top 3 of any NBA draft. LaMelo lit up Charlotte by becoming the youngest player to ever record a triple-double. He was 19 years old and he scored 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists in a win against the Atlanta Hawks. By the end of the season, he was named Rookie of the Year and set a seal on all doubters that the Balls can in fact ball. So what about the man in the middle? Upon leaving college in preparation for the 2018 NBA draft, LiAngelo moved to Lithuania and signed with Pranai, a strange destination for a player trying to make himself available to suitors of the draft. After his father criticizing the head coach, LiAngelo left the Lithuanian outfit but failed to be selected in the draft. Ultimately, he joined his father's league, the Junior Basketball Association, and went on to claim their finals MVP. Since then, he's been signed as a practice player for Oklahoma City in the G League and to the Detroit Pistons training camp, but he just couldn't seem to stick around. Now with his two brothers securely fastened in the NBA, LiAngelo might feel somewhat hard done by considering his level of talent. After all, he was recruited by UCLA. Charlotte Hornets GM Mitch Kupchak recently stated he's a Division I player. He's a player that was recruited and played for UCLA. He's a real talent. Whether he's good enough right now, that remains to be seen. Which begs the question, are Charlotte looking to bring in a second Ball brother to settle Melo? At 19 years of age, having another brother to go to practice with is surely a comforting feeling. The real question is, will the father be around to oversee their progression? Definitely. And more to the point, will Charlotte want that? It remains to be seen. Being widely criticized for the management of his kids, LeVar has received his fair share of plaudits, but also some negative attention too. Let's start with some of the positives. LeVar has done a phenomenal job promoting his 3 ballers. Comments likening Magic Johnson to Lonzo and Russell Westbrook are most notable to help raise his profile and thus putting the Ball family on the map. The creation of Big Baller brand, among other things, have helped propel his sons off the court too. And even if the business hasn't taken off yet, it shows savvy intuition to build a brand around his sons early on in order to potentially protect their future. However, with the good comes the bad, as LeVar has also had many run-ins with journalists and drawn criticism for his brash and outspoken nature. Let's just say he's got on some people's bad side and there's no going back. The question lingering is, will Charlotte want to take on 3 people? Because that's what they'll get with LiAngelo involved, as LeVar, with 2 sons on the same team, will be watching practice like a hawk. On occasion, no doubt, be sharing his very opinionated views without waiting for a social cue or even a shush. However, let's not forget that LaMelo is already there, so LeVar has likely already been around the team. So back to LiAngelo. Does he fit into the Hornets roster, and if so, where? Kupchak came out recently and said he's been doing well as Melo's workout partner, and they seem to have kept an eye on him as they intend to offer LiAngelo an invite to the Summer League. Kupchak summed it up with, "I'm sure Melo appreciates it. He's got a guy he can hang out with and come to the gym with and rebound and shoot, so it's been good for him." With Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier eating up the minutes and both able to play LiAngelo's role as shooting guard, it's hard to see where the middle brother would fit in. Rozier averaged 45% from the field and 20.4 points per game last year. Hayward offered 47.3% from the field with a clean 19.6 average points per game, the highest since his 2016-17 breakout year with Utah. If LiAngelo wants to eventually step up to the main roster, he'll have to battle hard to get the right numbers that match that of his colleagues. But dropping down a league to prove himself shouldn't always be a bad thing. Another one of 2 brothers, Seth Curry, had a couple of stints in the G League before jumping up to play in the NBA. Now he's at Philadelphia, averaging 12.5 points per game on 28 minutes and 45% from 3-point range. Fred VanVleet earned his badges at the famous Raptors 905 in 2017, where they won the G League, and 2 years later he was an NBA champion, flexing back-to-back threes in Game 6 of the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Pascal Siakam followed pretty much the same path at the same time as VanVleet, and in the end earned himself a 4-year, $130 million contract extension with Toronto. So it's safe to say LiAngelo is in good company in the development league. Now to business. From day one, LeVar has wanted all three of the brothers on one team, openly talking about how they play best together and that the original plan was that all three would end up on the Lakers together. Since Lonzo's trade, that plan has fallen by the wayside, but it doesn't mean they won't fit elsewhere. Lonzo is a restricted free agent in the offseason, which opens up an opportunity for the Baller brand to promote its prized possessions from North Carolina. And why not? A team owned by the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan, and the man behind the major push for players to have their own basketball shoe, might just be the very spot LeVar can do a deal that helps build his brand while promoting Michael's and, more importantly, winning. There's been a lot of smoke without fire, but Lonzo has improved. Melo looks to be a hot prospect, and while the jury is still out on LiAngelo, our best guess is that the three of them really do play best together. After all, they grew up playing together and followed a very similar path, all being recruited by UCLA. The Hornets could do with a bit of a switch-up on the court after missing out on the playoffs the last 5 years in a row. Even after a promising season, the Hornets still couldn't get the job done, losing in a play-in tournament to the Indiana Pacers. With LaMelo now firmly in the driving seat as the Hornets franchise player, he might have a bit of influence over some of the minor decisions. And right now, that's all this has to be. Charlotte can bring LiAngelo in, give him a shot, and keep their money player happy at the same time. If it works out, great. If not, they've settled Melo and given his brother an opportunity he may not have otherwise. Now, it looks likely he'll be signed as a reserve, or if he's lucky, eventually get bumped up as a role player. This is not a risky move for the Hornets at all. In fact, it's a positive distraction and even a potential push to gain Lonzo. But for that, they'd have to clear some cap space first. There's no doubt that LiAngelo has impressed at the Hornets in practice, and this Summer League showcase could give Ball a major opportunity to let it be known that he's not playing for third fiddle. After all, he's only 22 years old, and was extremely unlucky with the pandemic striking right when he would have liked to have put himself in the shop window. A couple of ankle injuries have given other NBA teams pause for thought, but ultimately the Ball brothers have so far proven that 2 out of 3 are well capable to play in the big leagues. Therefore, it would be silly to suggest there wouldn't be an offer lined up to give the middle brother a chance. A major part of the reason why LiAngelo could have trouble is the same reason the Baller brand could hurt: bad press. In college, LiAngelo was arrested in China for allegedly being associated with stealing a pair of sunglasses. As a result, he was suspended from the UCLA program, and LeVar ultimately pulled him from the team because of the delays. It's important to note he was released, but the media went to town on this story. This was followed by his father's disagreements with the Lithuanian head coach, and then a failed draft a year later. He soon became the forgotten brother cursed with bad luck and bad press. But let's not forget, he's the one in the ring and has managed to climb up off the canvas and rebuilt himself an opportunity the hard way. Sometimes your hardest hits make you a stronger man, and LiAngelo will be doing absolutely everything in his power to prove his worth to Michael Jordan's new wave. With the Summer League kicking off in a week, keep a keen eye on the Ball brothers, as the Hornets might end up with an extra brother to make it 2, or who knows, maybe even all 3 of them. Stranger things have happened, and at 6'5", this shooting guard deserves a shot to climb a little higher and prove he can hang with his brothers in the NBA, rather than just a game of pickup at the Ball family home. Are the Ball brothers going to reunite for a basketball party in Charlotte? Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot!